Good morning, students. This is your Kapil sir, and it's my first class for class 10. And good that we are beginning with a new chapter. And the name of the chapter, of course, I had already sent to you there in our message, and it is the 100 Dresses 1. And I had asked you to keep your textbooks also along with you because in the meanwhile we should not actually take it this distance classes as only videos, isn't it? We will have to check it that you are actually learning, and I'll keep my eye on the chat over here. At present I can see here 14 students are watching at this moment, and I think the number for us in class 10 is little more. So be available there on time, and some of you have already registered your presence over here. And in the course of teaching this chapter, you find anything difficult or anything which is not clear for you, you can put it here in the chat box. Maybe during my class itself, I'll give your answer, or if that doesn't permit you or to write it down, you can write it later, or it does not give me the possibility that right that moment. At the end of the class, I'll give some of your answers. Well, as I understand, last year actually I had taken class 10, and I was able to understand that most of you people are not so open to put your doubts. It takes you little hiccups to start putting your questions, but don't feel any kind of hesitation, and you just don't worry, and I'm there with you. And with this, we are going to begin this class. 100 dresses, as you can see the board. The topic is the 100 dresses, and here we are going to take the module 1, first module we are going to take. And in this first module, if the way the presentation is given, if it is not clear to you, you can just put it to me, and later on also you can ask me. My WhatsApp number might also be there with you. Well, the title goes here, the 100 dresses, and this is part 1 only we are studying here in this. The name of the author is BSOR. It is to be pronounced as each letter BSOR ist. And if you see your presentation of AES Module 1, another name is also used over there. That is also one of the names that the writer had used. So you don't get confused. You don't have to just worry much about it. It's very simple for you. Just 2 names. I also had got a bit of doubt as to why in the presentation another name of the author is used. Then I checked it and I found that it was correct. So you don't have to worry about it. It's all right. Now, as we see, I'm not in the habit of immediately reading the chapter and then telling you the story simply like that. I always want how the background of the story actually starts, so that our mind is prepared, it is ready to understand from that particular point of view. Because as we enter your class, we expect that something of a kind of situation should be there in the classroom, so that we should be comfortable to teach that particular subject. Say you have a class of mathematics, so your mind starts before the end of the last class, it already starts working on subject like mathematics and what calculation or what work was there, and you had experienced some difficulty in your study that you had done at home. So all such things will gradually make your mind work in that particular direction. Therefore, I want you people to first understand the background of the story, as to how the story goes about, and therefore it is also kept there in the textbook at the beginning of the story, how it is like, and then how does it end accordingly. Well, when you read this story, you will find you get this question: how do we judge people? Well, this is one very important question, because all our perceptions are formed because we have certain parameters for judging people. Now, what are those parameters? See, if you were there in the class, you would have given me very good response for this. And some of you might have said by dresses. Yes, can be. You can also mention, oh, here, how do you judge people? So if I can get any of your answers, I'll be very happy. Anyways, in the meanwhile, I'm just, starting. You can just still put your answers. We judge people by the way they wear, by the way they look, and sometimes even their appearance, I mean to say, looks wise, we then categorize people. By their clothes, we categorize people. To what class of people do they belong to? Do they belong to, poor class of people, a very poor class of people, lower middle class of people, only middle class people, or yeah, I got here 2 or 3 answers. I must appreciate. Shreya Rai and Divyangi Sasmal, 2 of them have given the answers, and Divyangi says by their behavior, very good. And here Shreya says by their character, quite nice. And we judge by the way they speak, very good. This is by Sania Sharma. And Akshat Chandilya says by their appearance, quite good. So I'm happy that you are here with me. And yeah, one more answer here by Neha Gochar. It is by their behavior. Good. You have a kind of understanding, about it as to how do we judge people. See, as some of the answers, yeah, appearance, by nature, by their language, body language, are quite good. This is, I think, Mahak. Monica says by appearance, and Harshita says by their nature, and someone says Ojasvi by their personality. Okay, good. Now I'll just stop looking at the chat box and we'll look at you and we'll tell you. Well, these are of course important parameters, and they help us understand a personality of a person, and accordingly we judge the person. But first of all, whatever comes to your appearance, that is, I think, the first impression that you get. The way someone wears the clothes, the way someone wears, his or her hair, the way someone paints his face, So, and then the kind of things one uses, and from there, this is the first external appearance. For example, you're traveling by train or by you're taking a flight, and you're there, in such places. So, if you find any stranger around you, do you think that you are going to find out the character of the person first of all? It is later. This will take place in the second part of it. But in the first place is the way the person looks. So it is of course correct. External appearances are always deceptive, and that is why it's the true nature of the person which is more important. That must be the original way of assessing someone's personality. That is all correct. But as someone appears, for example, you are there traveling in AC2 or AC1, and some suspicious sort of character comes. So how do you understand that somebody appears to be a suspicious character? The way someone behaves, or the way someone wears, even sometimes the way someone looks, the spectacles, or you can say sunglasses someone wears, or you can say the clothes that someone wears, or the shoes someone wears. From there you can get an idea, is it all safe for you or not? And I understand you people are very careful about all these things, and you should be, because this is what we must understand. Through textbook we get a chance to tell you all this, and there is a great opportunity that you can understand all this. It's not only the story that you must know, beyond that is the purpose of a textbook, and this is exactly what I am trying to help you understand. You are quite good at it to understand, but it is my duty to tell you this is exactly we must do. It is first of all the someone's external, and that is why whenever you are going for an interview, do you think by just wearing any kind of clothes you can appear for an interview? I think your answer will immediately come as no. If I get an answer here, I'll tell you whose answer is there. So I don't think that it is possible if we just wear any kind of clothes and we appear for an interview and our job is done. It is not so. As is the occasion, accordingly should we wear, isn't it? And because we belong to such families wherein we can afford this kind of things, I mean to say, proper clothes we can wear for proper occasions. For example, you are going to attend any meeting, I mean to say, any engagement or any ceremony like marriage you are going, any function you are going to attend. So what kind of dress up you would like to choose for yourself, or your parents would choose for themselves, or your grandparents would choose for themselves? Do you feel that in shorts and in bermudas, or just wearing any kind of t-shirt, you would just get out of your house and will attend the function? I don't think you would do so. And in case you have great courage also to do so and you appear over there, do you think that you will be well received over there? No, it will again not be possible, because first is the external appearance that affects people's approach towards us. So it is very, very important we understand as to what we should wear, as to how we should wear, as per the demand of that particular occasion. For example, you are always waiting for you an opportunity to come in civil dresses, because you generally come in school uniforms to school, and therefore you are waiting for such occasions in the school when you are allowed to wear formal dresses, or I meant to say casual dresses. You are waiting for that particular opportunity, and they are only suitable on such occasions. But if you want to come to the school, in all your colorful dresses, we do not encourage all this, because there is a purpose behind wearing a uniform. Uniform does not discriminate anybody as per someone's class, or as per someone's reaches or something, because it means only one motive, that we belong to one particular organization. Our purpose is only one, and accordingly we must handle the situation well. I think my point has become a bit clear to you. It is first by external appearance, by the looks of the person, by the clothes of the person someone wears, that we judge a person. Next level of understanding or appreciation of the person, it all comes that you have mentioned over there. Okay, it is by someone's behavior, by someone's true nature, by someone's speech also we come to know. Like this one important point, of course, I would like to discuss with you. The kind of language that somebody uses gives us an impression of his or her background. But one more point, of course, I would make it here. See, it is, of course, the language that helps us understand someone's background. But beyond that, I mean to say, you can enhance your background then the way you speak. This means you empower your power of speech. You make it so strong and so powerful that nobody should be able to judge you by your language. You make it as high as possible, as clear as possible, as more lucid as possible. That is the purpose of language. So as we speak, we are able, as someone speaks, we are able to understand, what the person. See, it's very easy for you to make it out whether which state do I belong to. If I use the kind of, the words from my own mother tongue, you would be able to make it out, okay, what place do I belong to, or what state do I belong to, what is my language, you can just make it out. Then by that you can also make it out what my culture would be like. Like anybody from here, Rajasthan speaks of the kind of Hindi. I am very easily can I make it out. They are the Rajasthanis. Of course, there are variations of dialects. I don't want to get into it, but you can overall make it out. Like anybody one who belongs to the southern part of the country, you can still make it out the way the words are pronounced. From that, you can make it out. But very important, you should grab the knowledge of that particular language to the extent that you are going to use the pure language, and nobody should be able to understand the way you speak the language. One prime minister we had, Narasimha Rao, he had mastered many languages, and by those languages, the way he would speak, nobody was able to make it out that he doesn't belong to any other particular language. So this grip over the language must come. Fine. So my purpose, I think, is solved over here. When I wanted to know it from you, okay, how do we judge people, and you had given me good responses. So we do judge people by these kind of things. So these are the criteria. Criterion is single and criteria is plural. So more than two, then it is criteria. So it is first by someone's wearing of the clothes, wearing of the hairstyle, or you can say the external appearance. And the second one is the way someone speaks, or someone's behavior. By that we can understand person, what a person is basically like. And then in the textbook also, we get this kind of questions. Okay, here, how do we judge the people around us? By their money, wealth, and possessions. This is primarily it happens, and in the real society, this is the primary, you can say, criteria. These things do people pay attention to, and by that they make it out, okay, what do you belong to. Suppose the kind of car that we do not go to the brands like Jaguar, and then many other big brands of cars, so uh, if we belong to middle class families, then Maruti, maximum Honda do we go to, or to such brand actually do we stick ourselves to. Now, when we talk about very high society, for them these are ordinary brands, and they do not bother about them. They will go for such class like recently one actor had committed suicide, but the kind of car that actually he had, it was a kind of class car which people in very rich families do own. So these possessions they are very very important in their world, and I would say everyone's society nowadays they have become primary criteria. By that, people make it out as to what we are or to what kind of background actually we belong. Uh, Now, coming on to the next point, or is there something more enduring value to look for in a person? So, I think for this part of the question, you have already given me the answer. That part of answer is by one's true nature, by someone's behavior, by someone's good words, you can make it out. But it takes time. If you want to just make it out something about only a stranger, so it is the first external appearance that would matter, nothing else. Okay, and then you talk to the person. Gradually, you might come to know about the person. Yet, I would not say you would have reached 100% of someone's personality. It is nearly impossible, because what we are, it is not even known to our parents. It is not even known to our close friends, however close they may be. They might know 99.99% of yours, but there is some corner that is known only to yourself. And that is why everyone in today's time is insisting on one's individuality and one's private life. These are very important part in modern societies. See, for our society, these values were maybe secondary, because it was only the head of the family that was important. But as we are, heading towards the westernized world and westernized countries, globalization we are all facing. So these values we are also asserting knowingly or unknowingly, because we watch movies and the serials, or we read some stories wherein these things are emphasized upon, and therefore it becomes important also for us that people must recognize our own individuality. And I see most of you people are present over here. Exactly at this moment, 26 are watching, and many of them have registered their attendance. I would say you just don't put your attendance for namesake. Beyond that, the classes are important. No? Fine. Now, coming on to the next point, if we just see what is the background of the story. So, what do we get here in the background of the story? A bit of the story of this particular chapter, the 100 Dresses, Part 1. So, what may be it here? So, I think by the title itself, things become clear for us. It is something about 100 dresses. But whether they are actually 100 dresses or something else, so I think you might have read this story, or today you would read the story, and you would exactly come to know what are these 100 dresses. They are already stitched ones or something else. I will not tell you now. We'll just go ahead and then we'll come to know. Next, we come to know through this story. Actually, there is one background of the school wherein this girl, on whom this complete story is there. Her name is Vanda Petronsky. I'll repeat her name, Vanda Petronsky. So she is there in American society, the American peoples living over there, and she does not belong to America. She is a migrated person, immigrant we call. Okay, so she has come from some other country. Her country is she is a Polish girl from Poland. She has come. So now what happens? As we are there within our country, so for us, to the length and the breadth of the country, wherever we go, we are Indians. But sometimes there within that we need to know sometimes which state do we belong to, which culture do we belong to, which language do we belong to, we use, and all these things, people have certain parameters. The worst is they want to know your surname, and by that, what do they want to know? It is nothing great. It is something beyond those surnames. What kind of caste do you belong to? That, according to me, is the intention, and it is of course there. See, I don't think there is any need for, if I'm as a teacher, putting it there in the class. I never ask my students their surname. I don't have to bother about their surname. For me, they are only students. Only their first name is more important. And you observe now, the way I'm telling you, you try to observe this in the society. The way people ask you your name, if you tell them your first name, suppose your first name is Rahul, and somebody asks you what's your name, and you say your name is Rahul, the listener would not be happy only with your name. He would like to know even beyond that. And he will, suppose you are a small fellow, and that fellow is little elderly, might say, Acha, itna hi hai kya? Aage piche nothing is there. Then you will tell the next title that here it's called title. So the next title that you use, that you tell. And then you see the expression, acha, acha, acha. So by that, what the person is actually trying to tell you, he's trying to tell you, okay, this is one block that I have set for these people, so you sit over there. And if you belong to some other kind of group that the person wanted to know, then maybe a little higher or upper slot is there. In that, your place is there, it is reserved for you. This is, in the civilized society, I believe should not happen. I appreciate the southern part of the country where they have dropped all their surnames. They only have the first initial and their name, that's it. And that is what should be the way of our country. And it will of course take time. This is my idea, of course you are not there in my class, but I still take it as a class only. And as much as possible I would teach. I am not in a hurry to even complete the textbook. Many chapters have already been done, but through the stories there is a purpose for a teacher to explain it to you. Many ideas are there which you must explore upon, and those ideas I would definitely make an effort so that those ideas reach you. So this is one of the things what happens whenever we try to know something about a person. This is how do we start. And I wanted to tell you something about the schools were American schools. The people were American, and therefore for this girl, Wanda Petronsky, it was not a comfortable situation because she would find herself odd man out. Most of them were Americans, and other than Americans were there, they used to face this kind of, you can say, harsh treatment at the hands of the Americans. It happens in all the countries. Wherever do you go? So because you belong to a minor group over there, and because you belong to a minor group and complete group is only theirs, so maybe you would face a bit of difficulty. So this is the same thing that this girl had to face, this particular difficulty, and therefore this background is there in the story. And that treatment, of course, I talked to you, that treatment had not been quite good with her. She was, and at that time of the earlier time when we talk about, I think the first Polish person that had entered America, it was 1608. It is also mentioned there in one of the slides. And since then, I think it was the 20th century when more people started, coming to America. And at that time, there was no Polish state at that period of time, and people used to know somebody like comes from Russia, so Russian Pole they used to say. From Germany, the German Pole they used to say. Australian Pole they used to say. Now this, if you try to understand, in America this used to be the thing. That was, I would say, a very sad past, but it was a past only. Today, it might exist. I'm not very sure. I haven't been to whatever the stories or whatever the literature do we get to read. From there, you can just make it out. But this has, nearly vanished, I must say. They have gone a little ahead, and that's what actually we also want to go ahead and then solve all our these minor differences and these discriminations. So in the name of that, there used to be smaller discrimination for this kind of new persons over there. And Wanda Petronsky belonged to, she was a Polish girl and was there in the school of the Americans. So some themes that come up through the story, I'll just mention some of those themes. Bullying of Wanda Petronsky. Here it is very common. As you are a new entrant to any institution, it generally happens that people would try to, suppress you, or they would like to, oppress you for some or the other kind of reason. I would say because they turn out to be seniors, the juniors are generally not given that prominence or that dignity and respect initially. They will have to, undergo all these ordeals. As I'm talking about any institutions, for example, you get admission to higher institutions. Sometimes, well, by the government, it has been completely banned, but raggings, in a minor way, somewhere they are still there. They exist. So, in case it exists, so what happens? You are a new entrant, so you are not welcome the way you had expected because you are quite good at studies. So that is secondary for them. First of all, you are just a new person in that scenario. So you would be treated as a new person only. This is how the rule goes generally. Unsaid rules, which are of course bullish rules. Then, of course, when the story proceeds, you would come to know there is one important spirit there in the story. Though this girl, Petronsky, Wanda Petronsky, is bullied by her friends, but she has huge heart to excuse all of them at the end of the story. This is one important point that you have to remember. And forgiving the mistakes is something very much important, something quite so genuine, which we all must imbibe this quality in us. But I must tell you, whatever we tell you to imbibe, they are never easy to be done. Well, for us as teachers, we generally do that. Our anger is not a permanent anger. We do not, dislike any person for a long time. It may be, you can say, a bout of anger for some time, for some unexpected kind of, behavior is done there in the class, or mischievous sort of behavior which was not required when a good class is going on. So I mean to say, most of us do have that big heart to excuse you. You might also notice your parents are also having such huge heart to excuse for you most of the mistakes that you might have made. So those mistakes for you may be very ordinary, very simple ones, but they are never so. They are, if the nature of that particular mistake or what it may lead to, from that point of view, your parents, when they judge, they might sometimes lose, their temper at you, but you don't have to, get very much disturbed. Nobody can love you as genuinely as your parents do, and no other person other than your parents, like we people as teachers, do want great for you all your life. So even if we lose temper at you, it is only momentary. It is never to continue that detest for you all life long. It is never so. So what I mean to say, it is the nature of forgiving, which is something very higher, I would say, quality or attainment. It does not easily come, and especially when you are in teenagers and all, you are hyperactive, or you are too eager to give responses, sometimes in a negative way too. So it is something which is to be overcome. And then for mistakes of the people also, we must have to excuse and proceed. Just before coming to your class, some 20 minutes before, I had been downstairs, and there one, I think biology class was today, and one skeleton was kept over there. I looked at the skeleton, and one teacher was standing over there. I told him, well, this is what we actually are, only skeleton. The life is oozing in us, and that is the blessing of the Almighty. It is only because the Almighty has given this opportunity, we are misusing it at present. We sometimes may discriminate people, especially the way people, where the way people own the things, the way people, I mean to say, present themselves to society, just these things turn out to be criteria for us, and accordingly to we meet all these discriminations. This is something quite so wrong, and that we are not expected to do that. We must go even beyond that, and those who do wrong to us, to them also we should have huge heart to excuse. And this all comes by, I would say, first by age, but beyond that I would say age is still not a bar. The moment we understand the higher quality is this, so why not, we become all that. So looking at that skeleton, I said, this is what we are. Ultimately, we turn out to be only that. And we should take it as an opportunity. As long as that life is there within us, we must feel quite so happy about it. This life is there in me. Whatever the good work that I can do for the people, for myself, for my family, I must definitely do that. Those people who sacrifice their lives at the borders, they deserve our salute, because what they are doing, probably we are not doing at this moment. We have got more problems right within this country, but there are people who are ready to sacrifice their lives at the borders of our country, and selflessly, they are doing their services. So if we understand all this, so higher work, greater work, and accordingly we must, act. Well, for the background of this class, enough is there. Anyways, I'll touch upon the chapter and then we'll go ahead with it. I'll just read out some lines for you and we'll explain to you. Just take it, we are as if there in the actual class, like that we are going to proceed with it. I'm reading the first paragraph for you. Today, Monday, Wanda Petronsky was not in her seat, but nobody, not even Peggy and Madeline, the girls who started all the fun, noticed her absence. Usually, Wanda sat in the next seat to the last seat in the last row in room 30. She sat in the corner of the room where the rough boys who did not make good marks sat. The corner of the room where there was most scuffling of feet, most roars of laughter when anything funny was said, and most mud and dirt on the floor. Well, I think as you go through the first paragraph, you will get back to the memory of your classroom itself. It is exactly like that. There used to be time when the students would like to rush to the classrooms and grab first benches. Now the situation is reversed, especially in a secondary and senior secondary. This is the scenario. Students rush into the classroom so that they grab the last bench, because the last bench gives them more comfort. There is very nice poem written by one of our students last year in the 10th standard. The last page of our notebook poem is there. It is there in your magazine. School magazine is already, but only when you come down to the school, then only we can give it to you. But in the meanwhile, on our website, you can just see. Well, get back to the thought. This is what exactly happens today. Now the students do not want the first benches. They want their comfort, and their comfort do they see in the corners of the classroom. As if by being there in the corners of the classroom, they are going to hide themselves from the teacher. Now, why that desire is there? Because maybe they wouldn't be able to understand the teaching of the teacher quite so well, and that is why they would prefer that they remain there in the corner, so that the teacher would not be able to throw questions at them. But please, it's not so. The teacher, even if is there, only in front, he can see or she can see first the corners first of all. So change your, I would say, ideology. This is not going to work for you. Well, Wanda felt just exactly like that. She had chosen those corners, and these kind of boys or children, they used to sit over there who would not, do much with the studies. They would enjoy more of fun, whatever the laughter, whatever the jokes would be cracked. And we, as very vigilant teachers, we all do understand, especially in the corners of the classroom, jokes are continuously being cracked, and those what the jokes are, those jokes also we sometimes are able to understand. But what happens over there, then ultimately your attention on the class is quite minimal, and you are not able to carry home the ideas that are discussed there in the classroom. That was something exactly there in this paragraph. Well, this girl, Vanda, had not turned up to the school, and nobody had noticed. because what happens is somebody one who is a prominent character there in your class is generally noticed, either very good or quite mischievous ones. These are very common ones, and these are always noticed not only by you but by us as teachers. So this girl that day must have remained absent, Vanda Petronsky, and it was not noticed by anyone. Even this girl, Peggy, these two girls, Peggy and Mandy. So you can understand here the moment the mention of these two is done over here, they might also be equally important there in this story. And how do they, contribute in the growing up of this story, and how this girl, Vanda Petronsky, faces all these troubles, and how still she is able to forgive all of them, all that you are going to study. Then one more paragraph I'll just read out and explain to you, and next will be there in the next class. Vanda did not sit there because she was rough and noisy. On the contrary, she was very quiet and rarely said anything at all. And nobody had ever heard her laugh out loud. Sometimes she twisted her mouth into a crooked sort of smile, but that was all. So when we try to understand from the description of this chapter, what may be the character, or what may be the appearance of, or what may be the behavior of this girl, Vanda Petronsky. So she was a rarely spoken girl in the class. She would hardly speak anything. We have always these kind of people who do not share much with other people, and these people generally they keep themselves quiet because they feel if by speaking much more problems might come. Well, it is both the ways. If you speak too much, it invites problem, but if you do not speak anything, that also invites problem. So we have to choose the middle path. The middle path is whenever it is required, you must speak. You must, give voice to. Here, to the extent it is said, not there was not even a single student who had ever heard, this girl laugh louder. So I think with this, you might have got a bit of picture of this girl, Vanda Petronsky, and I wish you read the whole story. And if there is anything else that you want to, mention to me, you can just put it there in the chat box at this moment. And here I would end the class for today, and we'll meet in the next class. I hope for the background of today's class, it's enough. Thank you.